For 10 long days, Israel and Iran had been fighting a violent war. It all began when Israeli jets struck Iran's military positions. Iran quickly responded with heavy missile attacks. Drones flew over cities and people ran to shelters. Sirens rang every day in Israel. In Iran, smoke filled the air as buildings were destroyed. Each side blamed the other. Neither was ready to stop. Fear grew in both countries. Thousands of civilians were hurt. Families in Tehran and Tel Aviv cried. News videos showed bombed houses, crying children, and angry speeches. The world watched with great worry. Israel said Iran was planning dangerous actions. Iran said it was defending itself. The two countries used powerful words and powerful weapons. Every day the war became more serious. But the problem is, something bigger was coming. And then came Sunday, 22nd of June 2025. The United States made a shocking move. On the morning of June 22nd, loud blasts shook parts of Iran. The U.S. military launched powerful airstrikes without warning. It was not just any attack. It was aimed at 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Fighter jets dropped bombs with precision. The strikes hit a nuclear plant near Isfahan, another site in Bushehr, and one in Natanz. The explosions were huge. Fire covered the skies. Hundreds of workers were inside those sites. Many were injured. Emergency teams rushed in. Some areas were shut down completely. Panic spread quickly. The U.S. president gave a short speech. He said, Iran's nuclear program is a global threat. This action is necessary to protect our ally, Israel, and keep the world safe. He also said the U.S. did not want war, but would not stay silent anymore. Tehran was shocked. Iran had not attacked any U.S. base. People shouted in the streets asking why America had entered the war. The war had now changed. It was no longer between just Israel and Iran. Now the United States was fully involved. The American airstrikes caused serious damage. Not only to buildings, but also to people. Hundreds of engineers, guards, and workers were hurt. Many were taken to hospitals with burns and injuries. In nearby villages, windows shattered. Old people fell while running. Mothers screamed for their children. Schools and clinics were closed quickly. Smoke and fear filled the streets. Iranian TV showed heartbreaking images. Nurses crying. Children bleeding. Crowds gathering outside destroyed buildings. People asked, why did the USA do this to us? Iran's government held a meeting. The supreme leader called it a brutal and illegal act. He promised a strong response. The people of Iran were angry and scared. Hospitals in Isfahan, Bushehr, and Natanz were full. Doctors worked without rest. Many said they had not seen such horror in years. Iran promised revenge, but not immediately. First, they had to count their dead and care for their wounded. Iran's leaders made strong statements on TV. The president said, "The United States will regret this. We have not attacked them, but they have attacked our people." However, Iran did not attack any American base. They focused only on fighting Israel. They said America was protecting Zionists, meaning Israel. Iran fired more rockets toward Israeli cities. Drones flew across the border. Some reached Tel Aviv and Haifa. Air raid sirens rang out again. But still, no strike was made on any U.S. base. Iran also called ambassadors from Russia, China, and the UN. They demanded help and support. But the world stayed silent or neutral. Citizens in Iran protested. Some wanted peace. Some wanted revenge. The air was full of anger and confusion. Israel used this moment to strike harder. Their jets flew deep into Iran. They hit fuel depots, missile factories, and military camps. Explosions lit the night sky. Israeli leaders thanked the U.S. They said the nuclear sites were dangerous and had to be destroyed. Iran must be stopped now, the Prime Minister said. Many Israeli cities were still under attack from Iran's missiles. But with American help, Israel now had stronger control of the skies. Some Iranian drones reached Jerusalem and hit a small school building. Thankfully, no children were there. But the attack caused fear. Israel declared a state of emergency. Soldiers guarded every major street. The public was told to stay indoors. The fear of a bigger war was real. After the U.S. strike on its nuclear sites, Iran called its closest partners. The foreign minister spoke with Russia, China, and Turkey. Iran asked them to condemn the American attack. Russia said it was deeply concerned. China called for immediate peace talks. But neither country promised to send troops. They wanted to avoid a larger war. Iran also called on Arab countries. Some Arab leaders were silent. Others said both Israel and the U.S. had made the conflict worse. The Middle East became more divided. Iran warned that if more nuclear facilities were attacked, it would respond in a new way. Still, they did not attack any U.S. base. Their fight remained with Israel for now. Inside Iran, patriotic songs played on the radio. Crowds gathered in mosques and streets. They shouted, "Death to Israel!" and "Down with America." Emotions were high. But the people also feared more airstrikes. Schools stayed closed. People rushed to buy food and medicine. Everyone was preparing for what might come next. After the successful strike on Iran's nuclear sites, the U.S. sent more warships and fighter jets to the Persian Gulf, American bases in Qatar. Kuwait and Bahrain were put on high alert. The Pentagon said this move was for protection and control. The U.S. did not want to expand the war, but it was ready if Iran tried anything. American soldiers trained with Israeli forces. They shared intelligence, radar systems, and defense plans. The teamwork grew stronger every day. Back in the U.S., many people protested. Some said, "Why are we in this war?" Others said, "We must help our friend, Israel." The nation was divided. Prices of oil and gas began to rise around the world. Airports canceled flights to the Middle East. Stock markets dropped. Fear of a global conflict grew. World leaders met secretly to stop the war from spreading. But nobody had the power to stop what had already begun. The war had now lasted more than 2 weeks. The human cost was shocking. Over 2,000 people had died in Iran. Many more were wounded. In Israel, hundreds were killed or injured. Children in both countries suffered most. In Iran, schools were destroyed. In Israel, families lived underground. Many cried every night, afraid to sleep. Hospitals were full. Doctors worked without sleep. Some patients lay on floors. Medicine was running out. Water supplies were low in many cities. In border areas, thousands of people fled their homes. They crossed into Iraq, Turkey, and Jordan. Refugee camps filled up quickly. The United Nations asked for food and medical aid. Volunteers tried to help, but bombs kept falling. Trucks with food and blankets could not reach some towns. The roads were too dangerous. The war had become a nightmare. It was no longer just about politics. It was destroying lives. The internet was full of war videos. Some showed real damage. Others were fake. Many people did not know what to believe. Social media became a battlefield of words and lies. Some said the U.S. was planning more nuclear strikes. Others said Iran was building secret weapons. Panic spread faster than truth. Even peace-loving people began to feel anger. Global TV news showed burning cities, crying children, and speeches from world leaders. But nobody offered real solutions. The fighting continued. Protests grew in Europe and Asia. In London, Paris, and New Delhi, people shouted, "Stop the war!" Some carried photos of injured children. Others carried flags of Iran or Israel. Meanwhile, hackers attacked each other's websites. Banks, airlines, and news channels went offline for hours. Cyberwar had now joined the real war. Every hour brought new danger. The world hoped for peace but feared the worst. On 22nd June 2025, a new message came. The Secretary General of the United Nations begged all sides to stop. He said, "The world is watching. Please stop the bloodshed." Iran's leaders gave a long speech. They said they would stop firing if Israel stopped first, and if the U.S. promised no more strikes on nuclear sites. Israel refused. America remained firm. The president said, "We will protect our ally." Iran must stop all missile attacks on Israel before we talk about peace. But behind the scenes, secret talks began. Some diplomats flew to Oman and Switzerland. They spoke quietly, away from cameras. There was hope, just a little. Meanwhile, the people of Iran and Israel waited. Bombs still fell. Families still cried. But everyone started asking the same question. When will it end? The war may continue tomorrow, but the world now prays for peace before it's too late.